Recording. Turn to all chat, live chat. All right, it looks like we're going. Hey, good morning. Welcome to yet another episode of Red Stone Lapis Lazuli. It is I, your host, Pogo Kiddo. Hello. All right, here we go. Let's see if this works. Pundabad, check this out. It didn't crash. It didn't crash. It's amazing. It did not crash. Okay. Yes. Oh, what a beautiful landscape. What a beautiful surrounding, right? Beautiful surroundings. Ooh, look at this amazing house. Look at this amazing house. Yeah. So it didn't crash. It didn't crash. I think because of a couple things. But the big thing is that the this runs on, okay, so Minecraft runs, this is modded Minecraft, Java Minecraft. It only looks this pretty because people for free, for free, decided, hey, we're just gonna improve this game. And so they created modifications. One modification is called Sodium, which optimizes the graphics stuff. Well, some of the graphics stuff. And the other modification is called Iris. Iris is what lets you run shaders. And there was a bug in Iris for a long time, I guess, that caused it to have problems. But they fixed it like a couple of things ago, and they fixed it really well because it looks really good. Like it looks really good. So yeah, this is like my house. I'm still working on it, right? I just got the beginning of it like together. And then there's the basement. There's the basement that I'm still working on. So yeah, here we go. And I'm not far from my house. That's the mountain. And just over here is where I live. So not far. I built a second house. Oh wait, my stuff is up. Hold on. Don't look at me. Okay. My stuff is up. So I built another house. I built this house first. And just across the bridge, just because like there was a bridge to nowhere. I'm like, I had to do something. I have to put something there. So it's a bridge to somewhere. And yeah, it's just a little basic house. It's a super basic like house. I need to put a lightning rod on top, actually, because this whole house is wood and it will burn down if it gets struck by lightning. Get one right now. Yeah, what caused me to build a house? I don't know. I just needed to build something, and it's not like it's like brand new out of nowhere. Lightning rod. Where's I keep lightning rods? Who knows? Let's just make more. Lightning rod 3. I had built other one. Dude, this is hella loud. Let me turn this down a little bit. There we go. Oh wait, I need this lightning rod to not be on ooh shit. Okay. Not be directly on the roof because it will burn the roof. A few iron bars. But yeah. There's not really a center. Yeah, no, it's like even. So there's no like center one. Oh well. Oh well. I'll form the head. Ding. Okay, good. That will save this house from getting burned down from lightning. Ta-da! A house. It's nice. It was a nice house, right? It has a basement even that I haven't done anything with. Ooh, spooky, spooky basement. And yeah, that's about it. And then, I mean, I had to do something, right? Because this is the house I built before, and it was pretty terrible. Pretty bad. Look how tiny it is. Look how tiny this house is. It's like not even a house. It's like barely anything. So, yeah, I had to do something. Get out of there. All right. So, geez, Pogo Kiddo, why are you making all these houses? What's the deal with making houses now? Well, that brings me to my next segment. Ah, what a segue! Ah! Ow. What a segue. Okay. Um, you may not know, but we are having a special election here in Salem. So the city of Salem, its budget is bad. It's bad budget. It's a bad budget. Um, I I got this ballot mailed to me, and because the problem is that yeah, the city's budget is real bad. Our police and fire costs are out of control. Are just out of control. Well, we um the police are being used to handle a lot of homelessness and mental health issues, which is a bad use of police resources and community resources because the police want more money to do this, and we don't. The city of Salem doesn't have the money. We don't have the money. We also the city of Salem also makes warming shelters in the winter when it gets like really cold, like below freezing. Like we create like shelters for people to come and warm up and be warm. Um, but they're only temporary. And then in the summertime, we create cooling stations for like because if you're homeless, you have no way of cooling down. You have like nothing. There's nothing. So we create like, and we have a few other outreach programs, you know, social services that help our neediest residents in Salem. But those are on the chopping block. Those will be cut if we cannot figure out a way to fix the budget in Salem. So the Salem City Council got together and they figured the best way to solve this problem would be to implement a payroll tax for the city of Salem for every single person that works in the city of Salem. I don't know if you even have to live here. I think you just have to work here. So if you live in a community outside of Salem because you can't afford to live in the city of Salem. So you live in the rural areas and you commute into Salem to work, you know, in the city of Salem, and then you drive back home. You will be assessed for taxes. You will be levied a tax because you work in the city of Salem, and you will help pay for the budget shortfall, which seems kind of unfair. Number two, it's only going to be a payroll tax. That means only the workers are going to be paying this. That means only people who work are going to be paying this tax, which seems a little unfair. um because you know they're working. If they didn't need the money, they wouldn't be working. So you're taking from the people who like need the money. Okay. Oh, I made this house with the cherry wood, by the way. The new cherry wood. I cannot tell a lie. I massacred a bunch of cherry trees. I chopped them all down. Okay. Yeah, so we have this budget shortfall. It's been there for like 10 years. It's been there forever, but they keep kicking the can down the road. So the city council said, fine. We need emergency funds. And the best way to fix this emergency is to implement a payroll tax. Well, the conservatives of Salem were pretty upset about that. They were pretty riled up. And that got them out on the streets, literally out on the streets, gathering signatures for a petition to take it off of the city council and put it on a ballot in front of all of the residents of Salem. And the question is, should we raise taxes? Should we implement a payroll tax to plug the budget shortfall? So sure, we could only look at the immediate thing, which is we need to plug this hole or our poorest people are going to suffer the most. And it's unfortunate that the people who have to plug the hole are already like not the best equipped to plug the hole. I mean, because they're working. It's like a regressive tax. But then the question is, how did we get here? What happened? What happened that we're in this position? Like, what? Is the city of Salem, the city council, stupid? Are they dumb? Is there something like, no, they're not. No. People want to be cynical and say, oh yeah, blah, 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 city government, blah, 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 the city. But it's not really the city's fault. They're doing the best they can. I mean, we elected them, right? And it wasn't like the city of Salem just came to that decision by themselves. They shuffled. They like had a bunch of people like comment. Well, I mean, a bunch of like experts look into it, and they had a citizens council look into it too. So there are experts they consulted, and they gave it to like a citizens group to like check it out. And the experts said, "Yep, we got to do it." And the citizens council, they recommended to do it. Really? A citizens council recommended to do it? to do this? Well, you know how I told you how the conservatives like got out on the streets to stop this payroll tax? It wasn't just the city of Salem residents, the conservative residents who did this. No, they had outside help. They got a bunch of money from the Koch brothers. Remember Charles and somebody else, Koch, the billionaires? They have a foundation that goes around to other cities outside their state, and to push their conservative agenda. So the anti-tax group is being funded by the Koch brothers, Koch brothers. No joke. It really is. So, on one side, we have the Citizens Council and experts saying that we need this tax. And on the other hand, we have rich people saying no. That's weird. How did this whole thing even start? Well, yeah. Here, I did a little bit of research, and I found a website. I found two websites. I found Oregon Encyclopedia, and I found like an organization of cities, Oregon Cities website. And the encyclopedia one tells me this. So, what all of this stems from, the city of Salem's tax problems, it doesn't come from bad citizens. It doesn't come from bad management. It doesn't come from bad government. Those are like the scapegoats. It doesn't come from any of those. What it comes from is 30 years ago, in the 90s, some anti-tax people didn't want to pay taxes. Go figure. So in the 90s, they passed two measures called Measure 5 and Measure 47, which was superseded by Measure 50. And this is what happened. The policy effects of Measure 5 are inextricable from those of Measure 50, which Oregon voters passed in 1997 to respond to perceived or real shortcomings in Measure 5. Measure 5 requires all counties to more frequently reassess property values. Almost immediately, it was clear that the upward revisions of assessed values would offset the impact of lower tax rate for many homeowners, particularly in the Portland metropolitan area. So, in other words, this new tax system really lowered the tax rate of the Portland metropolitan area. Consequently, some homeowner tax bills actually increased following the passage of Measure 5. Further, so in other words, rural people got screwed, but Portland people made out well. They lowered their property taxes. Further, industrial and commercial property owners enjoyed much greater savings due to the accuracy of their assessments. So, businesses paid less taxes. Rich Portlanders paid less taxes, but rural people had their property taxes increased. Okay, in 1996, Oregon Taxpayers United, led by Bill Sizemore, who's like an anti-tax fanatic, right? He's like anti-tax fanatic. He promoted a measure 47 that would roll back assessments by 10% and limit the annual rate of increase for assessments to 3%. Measure 47 passed with 52% of voters in support. The language of Measure 47 had enough uncertainty that conservative legislators and Bill Sizemore himself feared that Attorney General Hardy Meyer's interpretation of the measure would weaken the reform. Furthermore, rural legislators could see that, without some amendment, Measure 47 would devastate rural hospitals. Therefore, Republican-dominated legislature refined it into the less drastic but still sweeping reform known as Measure 50. So understand, in the 90s, Oregon legislature was controlled by Republicans. And they passed anti-tax bills. The tax bill lowered the tax rate, they lowered the real tax rate, to 10% below the real value. And then they capped the increases at 3%. So that the benefit is that people who were paying super high taxes in the Portland metro area, because Portland became popular, they got a tax. Their taxes went down, but everyone else's taxes went up. Oh, and big businesses, their taxes went down, but everyone else's taxes went up. Housing taxes went up, and cities now didn't have enough money. So why does the city of Salem have a budget shortfall in 2023? Because in 1997, the Oregon legislature limited the amount of money that the city of Salem could get through taxes. That's why. And they never replaced it. Here, I'm not crazy. Let's see, what else do I got here? I mean, here, look at this. This is great. All right. This is the League of Oregon Cities, Measure 5 and 50, a primer. Oregon's... I should increase the size of this. Okay. Oregon's current property tax system is shaped by two constitutional amendments passed in the 90s, Measures 5 and 50. Prior to Measure 5 and 50, property taxes in Oregon were assessed under a levy-based system, with the levy amount applied to each property's real market value. To meet community service demands, each taxing district calculated its own levy according to budgetary needs. Measures 5 and 50, however, combined to create a rate-based tax system while reducing taxable values and limiting tax rate growth. The rate became a constitutionally fixed amount, leading to a restriction of local government and school revenues. In the 90s, anti-tax people, yo, Swiftly Taken, good morning. You caught me in the middle of my show, and I'm talking about Salem, Oregon. I forget where you're from, dude. Oh, aren't you from, like, Boston or Massachusetts? No, I don't remember. I don't remember where you're from, but anyways, okay. So Measure 5. Passed in 1990s, Measure 5 sets limits on the amount of tax levied per $1,000 of a property's real market value. $5 per $1,000 of real market value for education districts, and $10 per... Okay, blah, 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 blah. If taxes in either the education or general government category exceeded their designated limits, the taxes are reduced until the limits are met. The reduction of taxes to Measure 5 limits is known as compression. So in other words, so yeah, Swiftly Taken, did you get your 4080? I think that was our last conversation. Is that you're gonna get a 4080? Okay, let's see. So compression results in millions of dollars in lost revenue for school and local governments each year. So Measure 50 is permanent rates. Passed in 97, Measure 50 gave all existing tax districts a permanent operating rate limit. A district's permanent rate limit was primarily determined by combining whatever tax levies existed locally when Measures 50 passed. These tax rates cannot be changed by any action of the district or its voters and remain as they were set in 1997. Holy shit! However, voters can approve a local option levy, which allows a taxing authority to temporarily exceed the permanent rate limit. Local option levies are restricted to 5 years for operations and 10 years of the useful life of a project for capital projects. So, this rain is hella loud. Let's go under here. Hide in the basement. It's still loud. The rain is so loud, and then outside are bad guys. He's just waiting for me to go outside. He's like, I'm gonna mug this guy as soon as he leaves his house. He's just hiding. He thinks he's hiding. He's like a ninja. All right, you ready, ninja? Let's do it. Oh, he shot me once. But I'm wearing armor. All right. Anyways, let me get out of the rain because it's really loud. Oh wow! Look, it just stopped. Oh yeah, because there's no nothing, no ground for it to hit. Go underground where it's quiet. All right. So basically, in the 90s, Republicans got together and said, we don't like paying taxes, especially the rich ones of us. So let's get together and pass a law to stop the government from ever raising taxes on us. And they did. And 20 years later, now the cities are running out of money. They don't have enough. They can't get enough money. They can't do it. So their schools are suffering. their services are suffering. Everything's suffering because they can't raise taxes to the real market value. So Measure 50, assessed value. Measure 50 also separated property tax from real market value. So they separated property tax from real market value. A lot of times, economists will tell you about about distorting the market. A lot of laissez-faire economists say, the market is going to do what it's going to do naturally. And by messing with the market, you're going to distort what's actually going on. and so and a distortion of the market results in a less efficient market. And the whole point of having a market economy is for the efficiencies. That's why you get a market economy, is for the efficiencies. And that's not only why, but anyways. But supposedly market economies are more efficient. So by putting excessive regulations, you distort the market and make it less efficient. This is a perfect example of market distortion. Measure 50, passed by conservatives who didn't want to pay taxes, purposely distorts the market by not using the real market value of stuff and instead using an imaginary market value. As a result, properties in Oregon are no longer taxed at their actual market value. Instead, taxation is now based on a newly created assessed value, which was established by reducing the real market value of the property in 1995-96 by 10%. The permanent rate was then applied to the assessed value. So in other words, property taxes are stuck in 1996. Oh my God. Prior to Measure 50, properties were typically assessed across a county on a 6-year cycle to produce fair and equitable taxation. However, the 1995-96 snapshot dictated by Measure 50 captured properties wherever they may have been during the assessment cycle. Assessed value on properties at the beginning of the cycle during this snapshot would be set higher than a similar property at the end of the cycle, creating inequities between taxpayers. Measure 50 also limited annual growth rate of taxable properties values to 3% of the assessed value, well below average rates of inflation. By setting assessed values based on 96 market levels and capping the annual rate of growth, Measure 50 permanently locked into place assessed value imbalances, allowing similarly valued properties to pay dramatically different property tax amounts. That means if you are grandfathered in with a good deal, like you never want to give that up because you're going to keep it forever as long as Measure 50 is in place. And that just like stops a big business from paying the amount of taxes they ought to be paying, and it also stops rich people from paying amount they should be paying. So remember what I told you about compression? Compression compression is when your tax rate, the amount of money you owe in taxes, exceeds the amount set by Measure 5 and 50, so they lower your taxes. so you don't pay above that much. Well, you should be paying that much. You're only not paying it because of the stupid law passed in the 90s. The city still needs that money, and it's just not going to get it. That's called so to determine a property's tax obligation each year, the assessed value created by Measure 50 and the real market value tax limits created by Measure 5 are calculated for each property. When a property's assessed tax exceeds the Measure 5 limit, the tax obligation is reduced or compressed to Measure 5 limit. The amount compressed is lost forever to the district, resulting in millions lost each year for local governments that rely on property taxes for a majority of revenue used to provide services. In fiscal year 16-17, more than 65% of Oregon cities were negatively affected by compression, resulting in more than $31 million in lost revenue for cities statewide. I mean, it's pretty obvious why. If you look, it's really obvious why Oregon's all messed up, and it's not because we're progressive. People want to say, "Oh, look at woke Oregon! Look how messed up they are." It's not because Oregon's woke that we're messed up. It's because in the '90s, Oregon wasn't woke. In the '90s, Republicans had control, and they put fucking handcuffs on Oregon, and Oregon's government has had handcuffs on them ever since. That's why. If you want to know why Salem workers, why a Salem worker, service worker, has to pay increased taxes, is because in the 90s rich people didn't want to pay higher taxes, and so they capped the amount of taxes that rich people would have to pay. It's what with this, what I'm doing here, this is an example of a systemic injustice. Systemic injustice. It's the thing that they don't want you to talk about when they when they say no critical race theory, because critical race theory talks about systemic racism, and the reason why it's systemic is because they put it there on purpose. It's the same thing here, right? In the 90s, they put it into law that taxes would be low for rich people, and that the working people would have to make it up. They put it into law, and then everyone just forgot about it. And then now here, 30 years later, the city is like, oh, we don't have any money. And then what happens? The conservatives say, oh, it's because the city's woke. No, dude, it's because in the 90s, a bunch of like tax conservatives like put shackles on us. That's why. It's super obvious. It's systemic. It's built into the system. Like, you will never fix it until you get rid of that measure 5 and 50. So the impacts. The revenue challenges caused by measures 5 and 50 are significant. Adjusting the property tax system from one based on market values to one primarily based on assessed values in 1997-98 resulted in an immediate $51 million reduction in property tax revenues collected statewide. Since then, inflation, particularly for primary city expenses like employee healthcare and pension costs, have regularly exceeded the 3% rate of growth limited under Measure 50, resulting in the slow but steady strangulation of city finances as costs increase far faster than revenues. These concerns, as well as growing frustration with the numerous inequities embedded in the property tax system, have leaders throughout the state advocating for changes to Oregon's property tax systems. So, how measures 5 and 50 affect Oregon cities? Measures 5 and 50 have an enormous negative impact on the ability of cities and other local governments to meet the basic service needs of their citizens. These constitutional changes significantly reduce city revenues by detaching property taxes from market value. It on purpose distorts the market. Measures 5 and 50 on purpose distort the market negatively, in a way to benefit rich people. That's what it is. Like, it on purpose distorts the market to benefit rich people. And then the end result is that poor people, working people like me and my neighbors all have to like pay more money to help these rich people not pay taxes. That's what it is, man. That's what it is. We have to work harder so that these rich people don't have to pay taxes. And what's the alternative? To not work harder and then let the poorest people suffer? That's fucked. Like, dude, I'll go without some coffee. That's okay. If that means that like the poorest people in my town don't suffer, they get warm in the winter and cool in the summer, like, okay, I'll just like not drink. Like, well, I think it's gonna be like $50 a year, about. So that's like 2 weeks of no 2 weeks of no smoking. Okay. If that means my neighbors don't freeze to death, okay. But it sucks, right? I'm fucking pissed. I'm angry, dude. I don't want to have to give that up just so rich people don't have to pay taxes. That's fucked. That's wrong. I like, conservatives and conservatives want to really narrow the focus and keep it only on the city council, only on the city of Salem, only in the past year as your frame. If you narrow it down so much like that, then they'll say, oh yeah, there's no reason for us to vote for this because it's just the city being wasteful. But if you look at the true causes of it, if you look at what it really comes from, this is the end result of 30 years of atrophy caused by conservatives on purpose distorting the market so that rich people don't have to pay taxes. I mean, so I'm gonna vote yes. I'm gonna vote yes to increasing my own taxes and the taxes of my neighbors who work. I'm gonna vote yes, and it's gonna suck. And but I can tell them why we have this problem. You can't blame the city. You can't blame the workers. This problem isn't coming from the city council. It's coming from a 30-year-old tax law that was put there on purpose to wreck us. Look at this guy, dude. You know who this guy is? He is the dude who like left his village way on the other side, and he traveled like to that village, and then he left that village, and then he came here, and then like I tried to get him to go somewhere else by setting up a workstation here, but then he wandered off, and I thought he was gone forever. I thought he got eaten by a zombie. And I came back, and then yeah, he's still here. Ah, he hasn't died, and he stole my bed. Ah, that's okay. I'm in the process of moving bases, anyways, dude. Like I'm constructing. I constructed this new base. Why did I construct a new base over here? Because this chunk is like a new chunk, a newer chunk. It was generated in the latest edition of Minecraft. So that means diamonds are a lot more common. So that means if I go mining, it'll be a lot more of an enjoyable experience. It'll be more fruitful. I gotta work on this house. Cherry wood. I should make another one. It was pretty neat, but I used a lot of wood. So the only way I could have done this is because I have mods that make wood harvesting easier. If I were doing it the old way, the old-fashioned way, where I had to manually chop down every tree, I wouldn't do this. This would have cost too much in wood for me to do that. Okay, what's the next thing? So that's hyper local, guys. Sorry, but you can extrapolate that to, I don't know, other places. I heard, or I thought, I believe that California passed something similar in the 1970s. It was like Proposition 15, which froze property taxes at like 1970s levels and like couldn't go any higher if you were grandfathered in, and that caused all sorts of budgetary problems with the state of California, so that, well, they still needed the revenue and they're going to get it one way or the other. So they have all sorts of ridiculous fees. It's all sorts of ridiculous stuff you pay for in California because they got to get the money some way or another, like in order for the state to function. And so the market is distorted by freezing their property taxes. And because of the market distortion, it's created this outgrowth of craziness. Now you get taxed for all sorts of stuff. Now there's fees for all sorts of stupid stuff in California. Why? They seem dumb. They are dumb, but they're only there because of the dumb premise that you can't raise property taxes because of Prop 15. You see how the market gets distorted by these conservative anti-tax methods that they used? Same thing in Oregon. Like, it's dumb that you have to put a payroll tax on workers in the city of Salem. It's totally stupid. And by looking at it, it's like, why would you ever vote for this? It only makes sense in the because the market has been distorted. The whole thing has been distorted by this anti-tax thing passed in the 90s. If we didn't have that stupid anti-tax thing in the 90s and things were assessed at the real market value instead of their like made up imaginary value, then we wouldn't need to have this stupid payroll tax. And Oregon schools would be a lot better funded and better off, and a lot of Oregon cities would be a lot healthier. Yeah, dude, you're back. You disappeared and you came back. What's up with that? Swiftly taken. So Swiftly Taken is in chat, and they said, "Hey, do you remember me?" And I said, "Yeah, I remember you, but I don't remember you a lot because like it keeps all shifting." Yo, I was just thinking, you know what, Swiftly Taken, that might be good for streaming, but I don't think it's the best for Minecraft. And I was saying the reason is because I can use fluid motion frames, the frame generation on my card because it's at the driver level. But I don't think you can do it on an NVIDIA card. You can't use fluid motion frames in Minecraft Java. Only in yeah. So you're kind of missing out, dude. It's really nice. Uh, because like I have 170 hertz monitor, and like I eat up all of them. Okay, so you said that you use the NVIDIA mod for Java Minecraft. I've heard of that. It's the renderer. It's yeah. AMD also has one called Vulkan mod that uses the Vulkan renderer. So each company has their own proprietary renderer. And the thing is though with the thing is, can you run shaders? Can you run shaders with those alternate renderers? And I don't think you can. You can only run the regular uh, Minecraft. I'm not hearing my flying sound. That's okay. Yeah, so I don't really, I mean, yeah, it's nice on any game, but really it's nice on Java Minecraft. It's really increased my enjoyment of like when I first got the 7090 and I first started playing Minecraft, it was pretty bad. There was screen tearing, and like it just didn't feel that great. But over time, as they've improved their drivers and as the mod community has done a bunch of their own work to make the mods run better, it's gotten super nice, dude. 7900, dude. 7900 XTX. Yeah, I like with the frame generation now, it's really smooth. It uses all 170 hertz refreshes. Every refresh is a frame. It's great. So Swiftly Taken says the newer GPUs are huge though, and I say yes, they're ginormous, dude. It was that was the entire reason why I went with a reference design 7900 XTX, because it is the smallest card you could get. That it was like the smallest one I could get. I couldn't. There was no card small enough. No 4080 small enough to fit in my case, and all the third party uh, AMD cards were too big. That's true. Yeah, the AMD cards eat power. I give you that. So they're probably not a very good choice if you live in the EU, where you have to really be careful with electricity use, energy use. I have an 850 watt power supply. I had to upgrade from a 750 watt power supply because it was constantly crashing my system and with not enough power. If I ever ramped up anything, it would crash. Like it could never get up there, up to its power level. So I had to update. I had to. No, 850 is good. 850 works. I can even increase the. I mean, no, it works fine. I'm using a 5900 X. Yeah, 5900 X 12 core processor. So the CPU is not eating up anything. It's not eating up the stuff. 5900 XCX. Or X. Oh no, you can't even see that, dude. Let me do it this way. There we go. There we go. Well, yo, I mean, like, look what I'm doing with my machine. It's running Minecraft. It's running Minecraft. It's running OBS. It's recording. I mean, it's not bad. I'm running. So, okay, I want to get back to my show, dude. I got to get back to my show here. Like, it's cool to nerd out with hardware. I mean, do you want to know about anything? Have you been like paying attention to what's going on? Like, it's getting anywhere, dude. Anywhere. What's something that you've noticed? What is something you've noticed that's going on in the world? Anywhere, dude. Anywhere. I'm still using Rethinking Voxel's 18B, the beta. I mess around with the alpha and it's getting better. No. What are you talking about? New paths? I mean, like this is new. I mean, I went through and like did a tour of like the new stuff. I built this house, and like so the thing that's new is that I figured out how to combine resource packs to get a really nice look. So I did that. And I'm like, yes, it's awesome. It looks great. It looks exactly like I want. Just about, yeah. I mean, it's got the sharp shadows. It's spooky, dude. It's spooky. And then here, hold on. Ugh. I built this. So I mean, like the whole thing. Like I'm getting there. I'm not done yet. Yeah, I like this. I like the PBR packs, the resource packs, and I managed to get them to like look really nice. Okay, so you haven't mentioned anything going on in the world, so I'm gonna start talking about stuff. one of the things, the good news here, the good news. Huge U.S. From Tristan Snell. Huge U.S. wins deal for free elections in Venezuela next year, with opposition participating and international monitors. In return, U.S. will relax sanctions on Venezuela and can reimpose if anti-democratic leader Nicolas Maduro reneges. Biden scores another foreign policy win. All right, so at least we got that going for us. Because as like Venezuela, dude, Venezuela, they there was a guy, a socialist named Hugo Chavez, who had a lot of popular support, and he won the election. And then the opposition staged a coup and they removed him. But then the people rose up in Venezuela, and the coup was forced, the coup leaders were forced to return Maduro Chavez back to power. Hugo Chavez. So he was there, and then he tried to like take over forever. That kind of sucked. Then he tried to like make himself president for life, and which actually worked, right? Because he died in office. And then his handpicked successor was this guy. What was his name? I forgot. Anyways, but he wasn't so good. He was pretty. He doesn't have like the popular. Yeah, I guess he wasn't so good. I don't know, but he like started like implementing like iron fist rule or something, and took away democracy. So the U.S. is like, all right, if you're gonna end democracy, we're not gonna talk to you anymore. And I guess they're bringing it back. They're bringing back another democracy, or they're gonna bring back another election. They're gonna reinstate elections again. So it's good. It's good. Okay, what else is going on? The United States. I thought this was a very interesting map. I thought this is like pretty interesting because, like, for a few reasons. One reason is this ginormous empty space. Look at how, like, except for an island here and an island there, there's almost like no populations. It's almost all empty. And then look at, why is it that almost all the population of the United States is on this side of the map? Like, why are they all over here and not hardly over here until you get to the coasts? Once you get to the coast, okay, but like in here, there's nothing. Why? Because one thing, water. All this area is super dry. Super dry. There's just no water. There's no water, dudes. There's no water. You can't live there if there's no water. Like, no matter what, there's no water. You can't sustain a large population. I mean, you can live there, but it can't sustain a large population without like a lot of water. But along this line and then this way, it starts to rain all the time. So these farmers here got free irrigation. They didn't need to have miles and miles and miles of irrigation. It rained. It would rain regularly all the time. So like they just planted their crops, dude, and like waited for it to rain, and it would do it for them. But once you get past this line, the weather changes and it stops raining and becomes like a deserty. It becomes dry. So that's why there's no population right in the middle, because there's no water. There's no water. Water is key. What else is going on? I got the Daily Show. The Daily Show did a montage of Fox News utterly destroying Donald Trump. Like, I don't know how effective Donald Trump is anymore as leader of the Republican Party. He can't even get his own guys in to the speakership. He tried and it didn't work. So I think he's losing his grip, but I don't know. He's losing his effectiveness. Nevertheless, it's always fun. It's always good to poke fun at Donald Trump. So here's the Daily Show highlighting the many ways in which Donald Trump is like declining. He's declining. Donald Trump is in decline.
He's been a little confused pretty much all week. His short-term memory loss is becoming a real problem.
Obama he doesn't want to talk about it.
Well, you mean President Biden. So,
just another bizarre statement from him.
Remember, Republicans eat their young. They really do. They eat their young. Terrible statement.
You can't even see anything. It's black. Why is it black? My video. Oh, interesting. Well, you know what? You don't need to see it. You just need to hear it. I'm gonna keep playing it. But that's interesting. I wonder when they did. I wonder how long that's been like that.
He's been a little confused pretty much all week. His short-term memory loss is becoming a real problem.
Obama he doesn't want to talk about it.
well, you mean President Biden. So,
just another bizarre statement from him.
Remember, Republicans eat their young. They really do. They eat their young. Terrible statement, but it's true.
I cringe. I mean, I literally cringe.
Standing at a podium, slurring his way through a speech.
Electrocution. I will take electrocution.
He's fumbling over his words. He can't construct a coherent sentence.
Christmas, or remember the department stores they refused to use the word Christmas.
These foreign leaders, he might mispronounce their names.
The Hamas, starved Hamas, and we took Hamas, and
On top of being a complete cognitive mess, is frankly a complete ignorant fool.
All the time now we see whales washing up on shore because of the wind, those big wind turbines.
Does he not care that his words are often picked up, whether he's cursing?
our capital looks like shit. Let's indict the motherfucker.
Who knows what he's going to say next? Who knows what he's going to mistake next?
Ooh. Ooh. That's Fox News ragging on Donald Trump. I mean, everyone knows, right? Everyone knows that Donald Trump is a bad guy. And if you don't know that Donald Trump is a bad guy, showing you, like, you listening to this is not going to change your mind. Showing you facts isn't going to change your mind, because facts isn't how you got to your position. Oh, I looked away to go see if I was what up, and all right, I'm all right. I'm all right. How do I get out of here? See, there used to be a monk who lived here, and he disappeared. And I want to bring him back. Where are you, monk? I had your bed set up and everything, man. And like, he just disappeared one day. So that guy who lives at my house right now, I don't like, he's there for now, but I kind of want to have him move out. And this is the perfect job for him. What? How did you even get there? Yeah. Well, I'm gonna make you a monk eventually. You're a fisherman now. You came from far, far away. I had no idea you'd be here. And fine, you can be a fisherman for now, but eventually I'm gonna put you in a cart and send you off to be a monk. All right. What else do I got going on here? Jim Jordan on January 5th describing the plan to overturn the election.
How does this work? It sounds like it could get chaotic in there.
Dude, something's wrong. What's the deal? Why? You know what? What if I open this with a different program? Open with. I think I uninstalled. Oh, yeah, I have it still.
How does this work? It sounds like it could get chaotic in there. What happens after the debate?
If you get an objection from a United States senator and an objection from a member of the House of Representatives on the same state, then they retire. Each body retires to their respective chambers, and you have a debate for 1 hour for each side. A 2-hour debate, 1 hour for the pro-objecting, the people who support objecting to the acceptance of the electors, and 1 hour for the folks who oppose it.
Okay, so do you understand what he's doing now? So let me give you some context, right? I'm just like throwing this at you. Let me give you some context. This is being recorded. He gave this interview on January 5th, 2021, the day before Donald Trump had arranged for a mob to attack the Capitol. I mean, like, and that's what happened. He's on trial right now for that exact conspiracy, for him to gather a mob together in order to stop the certification of the election. Now, yeah, that was the whole point, right? He wanted to stop the certification of the election. Jim Jordan here is describing his part of the plan, right? Because the mob outside wasn't really the thing that was going to overthrow the election. These guys were. The mob outside was just the insurance to show the people inside that they meant business. So Jim Jordan is part of the group of Congress people who attempted to overthrow the government. Donald Trump didn't act alone. Donald Trump is not by himself guilty for trying to overthrow the government on January 6th. He had co-conspirators. Jim Jordan is one of those co-conspirators. Right. And here he's describing how he's going to try to overturn the election in the next day, while the mob is assembled outside, threatening to break in. Now listen again. January 5th, the day before the mob shows up, the mob is there to scare the senators and the Congress people into delaying the counting of the vote. But the goal is to get them to delay, and they can only delay if Jim Jordan and his co-conspirators act in a way to stop it from happening. So that's going to be the delay, and the mob was there to make sure the delay was permanent. Do you get it? That was the conspiracy of January 6th. All of Donald Trump's previous attempts to hold on to power had already failed. He failed to get in his fake electors. He failed to he had 60 court cases and they all got overturned. He tried to stop mail-in voting. He tried all sorts of stuff. Oh, and he literally called the state of Georgia to get them to overturn the election. Now he's on trial for that. So there are multiple. After all those had failed, this is his last attempt to get his co-conspirators in Congress to delay the certification of the vote, and then have the mob outside occupy the Capitol so that they can never ever certify the vote. And Donald Trump becomes dictator. There was not supposed to be a transfer of power. Remember, their whole point was to not allow a transfer of power. So Jim Jordan is going to describe it.
How does this work? It sounds like it could get chaotic in there. What happens after the debate?
That was the whole point, right? It sounds like it could get chaotic. Remember, Republicans are all about chaos. They're all about chaos, not order. They don't want order. They want chaos. Because you need chaos in order to to destabilize a country. Yuri Bezmenov fucking told us. Don't make me play that clip again. He told you what their plan, what they're doing. Exactly. They're doing it. They're trying to destabilize the country. Their whole deal is to destabilize the country. That's why they tried to drive us off a cliff with the budget. That's why they're like shutting down the House of Representatives right now during a time of crisis. because for them that's the goal, is to shut down the government. Their enemy is the federal government, is the United States. They're Confederates. Hey, JMDX from Russia, St. Petersburg. Your co-conspirators in the House of Representatives are making me angry. And so I'm exposing one of them. So this is one of your dudes right here. His name is Jim Jordan, and this is Jim Jordan describing how he's going to delay the vote the next day on January 6th. How he's going to stop the transfer of power.
If you get an objection from a United States senator and an objection from a member of the House of Representatives on the same state, then they retire. Each body retires to their respective chambers, and you have a debate for 1 hour for each side, a 2-hour debate, 1 hour for the pro-objecting, the people who support objecting to the acceptance of the electors, and 1 hour for the folks who oppose it. That debate will unfold, and then there will be a vote. Depending on what happens, if those electors are objection, if that prevails, they won't be accepted. And in this situation, Joe Biden's electoral count number would go down by whatever that state electors that number is.
See, he gave it away. He said Joe Biden's number. Note how they only had objections to states in which Donald Trump lost. Why? Like, they couldn't prove anything. The whole plan was to hold on to power, to seize power. The whole plan was to just take power away and ignore the election. So, yeah, that guy is super bad. It's not where you. So, JMDX is a Russian guy. I think 16 years old. He lives in St. Petersburg, Russia. And as you know, the government of Russia is currently invading Ukraine and killing innocent people. So it's a terrorist government. It's a terrorist government. So this kid lives inside a terrorist nation, and is hanging out, and he's saying it doesn't matter where he lives. And I'm like, yeah, it does. It does matter. So that Jim Jordan guy, right? He attempted. So that guy, like, the Republicans are Confederates. You got to understand. I mean, understand this truth. Understand this truth. Republicans are Confederates. They don't intend on. They don't pledge allegiance to the United States. They pledge allegiance to the Confederacy. If they can't control the federal government, they want to destroy it. They want to sow chaos. Like, I can play that clip of Yuri if you want, but I don't really want to, because, like, it's... What do we got here? But we talked about this, JMDX. I asked you about your opinion of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and like you seem to be okay with it. And maybe you're not free to say, and that kind of sucks, right? Then it does matter where you live, huh? If you're not able to express yourself freely, then I guess it does matter where you live. If you can't condemn the Russian invasion of Ukraine, What do you want me to do? So, as of the other day, Russia has lost another 980 troops. Holy crap. How is it that Russia lost so many people? And then another 19 armored personnel vehicles, another 13 vehicles and fuel tanks, 18 tanks, 15 artillery, 9 UAVs, unarmed aerial vehicles, 3 missile launchers, an anti-aircraft thing, some special equipment. Like, how is it that they're losing so much, dude? How is it that they're losing so much? Because they are currently doing this thing right now. What's going on is the Russians took over this area in before February of 2022, and then after February of 2022 they like seized a bunch of areas, and then the Ukrainians in yellow are pushing back. So they're right here right now at this town, and the Russians don't like it that the Ukrainians are so close. So the Russians are pushing in, trying to pinch it off, right? But it's not working. It's not working at all. And they're just dying, like getting slaughtered. The thing is that about a bad government. So JMDX says, bad government does not reflect what all people think about the situation in the world. And what I'm saying is bad government and needs to be called out as such. Like, and you're not able to condemn, JMDX are not free to condemn your government's actions. But what do you want me to do? I cannot change your government. I can't change your government. I'm on the outside. If I go in and change your government, that's me invading. I can't do that. You can't. Nope. Can't do it. If I do anything, it's me doing something, not you. The whole point of being free, the whole point is that nobody else is in control of your actions, only you. So if your government is bad and you know it's bad, well, you want, you're telling me that no, I mean, I would like you to condemn the war in the Russian invasion of Ukraine. I would like JMDX to condemn the Russian invasion of Ukraine, but they won't do it. Why not? Because either they believe in the Russian invasion of Ukraine or they're not free to say. No, you're not free. But I mean, I need to it's the information environment in which we operate. It is a battlefield. And just the other day I had some Russian dude come in to troll. So I need to be careful. So what else is going on? Oh yeah, back to Jim Jordan. So can you so JMDX says on the internet he can write anything. So then write your condemnation of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. JMDX. If you are free to to express yourself on the internet, then you are free to express your condemnation. I want you to condemn the actions of the Russian government in Ukraine. It seems pretty simple, right? It's not a hard ask. There's lots to condemn. I can condemn the actions of the United States military in Iraq easily. I do it all the time, at any moment. I don't need permission. I don't have to fear reprisal. I can write it. I can shout it. I can do whatever I want. How about you, dude? All you have to do is, because you said, oh, you're free to condemn the actions of Russia in Ukraine. Are you free to do it? If you choose not to do it, if you just told me that you're free to do it, but you choose not to do it, that means you must not hold that position. You must not believe that Russia's actions in Ukraine are atrocious. You must agree with the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Right? I mean, I've given you like plenty of time to type it out. It's not like do you need more time? How much time do you need, man? Right? How much time do you need? Mr. 16-year-old person in St. Petersburg. Isn't there like a troll factory from there? Oh, what's his face was running it? Internet Research Agency. Prizogin was running it. He's indicted by Mueller. We wanted to put him in prison, but Putin murdered him first. Why? Because he mutinied against Russia. Okay, of course I can condemn any war. No, okay. You can condemn any war. Oh, okay. You can now. You can? Will you condemn? Will you condemn the war, the Russian invasion of Ukraine? Will JMDX says, of course he can do it, but will he? Be forceful. Will you condemn the Russian invasion of Ukraine? Will you condemn the Russian invasion of Ukraine? It's not just war in Ukraine, dude. It's the Russian invasion. There's a reason why there's a war in Ukraine. It's not just a war happened in Ukraine. No, it's because Russia invaded Ukraine. Condemn the Russian invasion of Ukraine. No, it's not war is war. See, there you go, dude. You're trying to wiggle out. I knew it. He's trying to wiggle out. He's trying to wiggle out. He won't do it. See? You see what I mean? All you gotta do. I condemn the Russian invasion of Ukraine. That's some active measures there. That's some tricky stuff he's doing. So you're not really, maybe you're not really free. You can, well, if you're in St. Petersburg Internet Research Agency, you're making money, guy. All right. It doesn't matter why, but you've done it. I condemn Russia. So JMDX says, I condemn Russian invasion of Ukraine. He then qualifies it, says it's not worth it because of very big losses of soldiers and money. But actually, he should condemn it because it's not just, it's unjust. That's why you do it. It doesn't matter if it costs you a bunch of money and men. It's wrong. It's you condemn it because it's morally wrong. It doesn't matter about the money or men. It's morally wrong. It's morally wrong. Like let me see if I have more coffee. I do have more coffee. Look at that. Praise everyone. Praise the Most High. Praise the Most High. All right. Okay. I'm gonna get into some sticky stuff here. This is gonna be sticky. Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Before I get there. So this is still up. Oh, I'm still looking at it. Where's it? Where? Nope, that's not it. There it is. Okay, so the day before, January 6th, there was a White House meeting with these people. They were the ones who objected to, or one of them was the ones who objected to the counting of the votes on January 6th, which gave the mob time to break into the White House and into the Capitol. Their plan was to just not ever let anyone ever certify the vote, to occupy the Capitol for as long as possible. So one of these guys is Jim Jordan. So Jim Jordan was attempting to become the Speaker of the House, which was the #2 position in line for the presidency if something were to happen to Joe Biden and then Kamala Harris. I just want, so JMDX, I just wanted you to explicitly state that position, because you may not know, but there are many people in the United States who are confused about things. And then there's other people who pretend to be confused, but are only trolling. So I gotta like filter out. So this is the thing I wanted to show. So this is a map of Gaza, of the Gaza Strip. 2 million people live in this area. They're only allowed to fish up to this point, and anything else is like blocked off. And they can try to go out here sometimes, but then sometimes the Israeli Navy will like shoot down your boat or something. I don't know. will come get you. So to be safe, you're only really allowed to go out 3 miles to fish. So you don't get very much fish for your to feed the city, you know? Then there's checkpoints, but all the checkpoints are closed. So it doesn't matter, right? You can't go in or out anyways. JMDX. Yeah, I apologize for the language barrier. I don't know. It's hard to understand. It's hard to gauge how much you comprehend because I don't have any actual presence with you. I don't know how to say that. I can't see you. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Little cues. I don't know. Anyways, so this is Gaza Strip, and there's a lot of people who live in here. And they live here because, I don't know, because they can't leave. They're not allowed to leave. And here's another map. So so what's his face? Netanyahu's a bad guy. Like, he's a bad guy. He's not like a hero. He's not like someone to look up to. He's not someone to respect. He's a jerk. He's a bad guy. He's a criminal, and he has a fascist view of the world, and he wants to ethnically cleanse the Palestinians. That's his goal, is to ethnically cleanse the Palestinian people. Just get rid of them. He wants to just get rid of them. So what he's done is, I believe he's going to use this tragedy in order to implement like martial law and to like forcibly do ethnic cleansing of Gaza. So he wants, remember, 2 million people live in this tiny ass area. It's not very big. It's pretty small. And he's going to he wants half of, like, the northern half of people just to, like, move and leave. Where are they going to go? They can't go into over here. This is the ocean. And Egypt says, we don't want you to come here. So they have to like double the capacity. Like, what are you gonna do, dude? Just stand out in a field? Like, there's no place for you to go. Literally, like, they just want you to stand out in the middle of nowhere and wait. Dude, you're gonna die if you do that. Go stand in the middle of nowhere with no food, no shelter, no anything, no water, exposed to the elements all the time. Like, you're gonna die. They want so the plan of the Netanyahu government is for 1 million people to go stand in a field and wait and die. And if they make it back, then great. And if not, oh well. And do you think once they do that, do you think Israel is just going to be like, okay, here, come back now? No. Or not Israel, but the Netanyahu government. Do you think Netanyahu's like, is going to say, go ahead, all right, go ahead, guys. Thanks for leaving. Why don't you come back and take over your city again? No, they're not going to do that. It's going to be all rubble, dude. They're going to destroy everything. Because remember, this comes from War Mapper, by the way, a guy named War Mapper. So that's number one, right? Number two, let's look at like the thing going on here. Let's look. Everything that's been going on is in this tiny little strip of land right here. And the Netanyahu government wants half of it to go cram into the other half, which is impossible, dude. Imagine having a 70-year-old grandmother and telling her, hey, grandma, time to leave. We got to go stand in a field over there for like, I don't know how long. Like, take whatever you can carry, grandma. We're going to go stand in the field. No, you have no home anymore. We have no food. We have no water. We're just going to go stand in the field. What kind of thinking is that? Like, so, but that's only part of it, right? So in this area here, what has happened is the authority which has taken over is called Hamas, which is a terrorist organization. They use terror in order to advance their goals, their political goals. Any entity that uses terror to advance their political goals is terroristic, to say the least. That's why we can say Russia government is a terrorist state, because it uses terrorist tactics in order to achieve its goals. That's why it fires missiles at civilians. The same as Hamas, right? It's the same thing as Hamas. All right. But so this sucks, right? This sucks. The Palestinian people are concentrated into this tiny ass area, right? Like it's a camp. This whole place is like a camp, and the people are the Palestinian people are concentrated into this little ass area in this camp, and over here, and it's disconnected from this other group of Palestinian people who also are concentrated into camps. Do you see how the whole thing is surrounded by Israeli civil and security administration? Right here, let me see. The whole thing is surrounded, and not only is it surrounded, but in between is carved out so that it's never a hole. You cannot, they're all, in other words, they're islands. They're now islands. Like Gaza, you know how Gaza is an island? Now the West Bank is an island. We draw it like this with this big thing here, like it's a big fat kidney or something, but it's not. It's cut up into little tiny like islands. So the Palestinian people are like pretty unhappy. They're not happy at all. They're angry. Like, or not even angry, but they're like suffering greatly. It's a humanitarian, like they're not free. Like JMDX over here, they're not able to like move. They can't move around, dude. They're surrounded and under constant surveillance. So the issue is, how do we fix this problem? How do we fix this? Like, the people of Israel do not deserve to be terrorized. They don't deserve to be randomly murdered and beheaded and killed by invading people. They don't deserve it. But neither do the Palestinians. How many kids are being held by Palestinian or by Israeli jails? I mean, that was a good point that I heard from an Irish woman, talking to her representative. An Irish woman made a really good point. How many, like, we talk about the hostages held by Hamas and the children that they're holding. How many Palestinian kids are held in Israeli jails right now? Like, we never talk about that. I never hear that from anybody. I have to go look for that kind of information. I don't just hear it like incidentally like you do everything else. I have to go look for it. Like, I don't have it pulled up right now even. I can't even tell you how many, but it's a lot. It's a lot. I've been hearing stories about Israelis imprisoning Palestinian children for a long time. And what is that? It's kidnapping, dude. It's the same thing. It's hostage holding. So, I mean, there's got to be a solution to this. We got to fix this, because like, the United States cannot get pulled into a war in the Middle East. Can't do it. Nope. We can't get pulled into a war. No. So one possibility that I have heard is for the UN to come in, not Israel, not the Israeli Defense Force, but the UN to come in with a UN force headed by Arab nations like Egypt, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, and have them come in and establish a peacekeeping force. The whole point, the whole reason, well, the stated reason why the Netanyahu government wants to invade and ethnically cleanse Gaza is because they say from inside Gaza is from where the Hamas, the terrorists, launch their missiles. So if we want to stop Hamas from launching missiles at us, we have to go and get them. But you can't go and get them. If you try to invade Gaza, it's going to create a war. So instead of the Netanyahu government going into Gaza, instead, how about a UN coalition of Arab nations, not Western nations. You don't want Western nations to go in. You want Arab nations to go in. You want the Arabs to help out. The Arabs to come in and establish a peacekeeping force. Stop Hamas from shooting missiles at Israeli civilians, and then Israel won't have any justification for invading. Any pretense. They want the Netanyahu government loses its pretense for invading Gaza. If Arab nations go into Gaza and stop Hamas from launching missiles at Israeli civilians, then the Netanyahu government loses its pretense for the invasion, for its ethnic cleansing. It can't ethnically cleanse the Palestinian people from Gaza. Win. It's a goal. It's a win, right? It's a temporary band-aid. It's staunching the bleeding. Like, it's packing a wound, a gunshot wound, with gauze. You know how, have you ever seen someone do that? I mean, I saw someone work on a dummy and doing it. And they literally shoved their finger in the bullet hole, and make it bigger. They make the hole bigger to shove their finger in the hole, and then they take gauze and they shove as much gauze as they can into the hole that they made. Holy crap! That's gotta hurt real bad. But that's what it would be if the UN came in and put an Arab peacekeeping force in place. They're there only to keep Hamas from shooting missiles at Israel. Then Israel doesn't. Then the Netanyahu government doesn't have a reason or an excuse or whatever to go into Gaza. But that's only temporary, right? That's only packing the wound. The wound has to heal. You have to do something. You got to do surgery, right? It's not going to heal by itself. You got to do surgery. So, what can we do once we've stabilized the situation and we stop Hamas from shooting missiles at Israel and stop the Netanyahu government from ethnically cleansing Gaza? Now that we've stopped that, we still have a crisis on our hands. We got to solve this crisis because it's never going to get better, guys. It's only going to get worse and bring us closer to world war every time. Like, did you hear that? Like, we've already, okay, remember that time I told you about how the Russian government is like terrible because they'll invade sovereign nations to go do violence, not on their own soil, but on other people's soil. And then they're messy because they killed people in London doing that. They killed Londoners with that shit who were not even involved in Russian stuff. So It's the same thing that's happening to the United States. Some crazy dude went and killed like a 6-year-old Palestinian or Muslim kid, Palestinian probably. I think. For no reason, dude, because he's filled with hate. And then we don't know who, some Nazi killed a rabbi, like outside her home. So, like what? Look where we are, man. What are you doing? Do you see how it can spread? Like, we're not in the Middle East. We're in the United States. What are you doing bringing that nonsense, that violence over here? What are you doing? But that's what happens. Violence is like a wildfire. It will spread. So you have to like take care of it. We have to solve this problem, is what I'm saying, because it's only going to get worse for us. Even for Americans, it feels like we're all separate, but we're not separate. We're absolutely stuck in there. We're absolutely in this mess, and we have to find a way to fix it so it doesn't break into war. What are we going to do, guys? Well, like, I don't see how this is sustainable. How the separation. How can you do that separation? If you're going to separate, like, why not make Gaza and the West Bank whole and separate out the Sinai desert down here? That way Israel loses its access to the Persian, I think that's the Persian Gulf? Or I don't know if that is. I think it's the Persian Gulf down here. But yeah, they'll lose access to the Persian Gulf, but you'll have all this area here. I don't know the solution, right? I don't know the solution. But it's not the problem, it's not the fault of the Palestinian people. It's not their fault. They have the least amount of power in the situation, if you want to look at it that way. I mean, they're literally infected with terrorists. Hamas doesn't help the Palestinian people. Hamas helps themselves, their own goals. They may use the language of helping the Palestinian people, and they may like do the tapestry of helping the Palestinian people, but they only do so to gain power, not because that's their goal. So how are we going to solve this, guys? Okay, so prosecutors say a Chicago area man had been listening to conservative talk radio about the Israel-Hamas war before confronting and fatally stabbing a 6-year-old Palestinian boy and badly wounding his mother. Robert Evans says, the whole point of right-wing media is to spin up guys like this to take action against the enemies of conservatism, which in this case included a 6-year-old. True. Bree Newsom Bass says, is responding to the Kyiv Independent, which says EU-US call on China to pressure Russia into ending its aggression in Ukraine. Members of the US-EU summit in Washington released a statement calling on China to pressure Russia to stop its aggression. So, Bree Newsom Bass exposes the hypocrisy. Again, the Biden admin's response to the Israel-Gaza crisis undermines their case for Ukraine, because the Biden administration has pretty much given a go-ahead to provides cover for the Israeli government to conduct ethnic cleansing, because I don't know how else you could call. What else you can call? Oh, wait a minute. I mean, what else can you call that but ethnic cleansing? That's ethnic cleansing, bit by bit. I mean, it looks like the Native American reservations to me. And then that makes me kind of sick. Back to this. Releasing a joint statement calling for Russia to end aggression in Ukraine while vetoing a UN resolution calling for a humanitarian ceasefire in Israel and Gaza makes the US-EU enormous hypocrites with little to stand on in claiming moral high ground over Putin. Yeah, right? how do you, like, USA was the sole, yeah, USA vetoed because it has veto power in the UN. USA vetoed a resolution calling for a ceasefire, a humanitarian ceasefire. So meanwhile, the United States is talking to Israel, or the Netanyahu government saying, "Hey, hold off on your invasion of Gaza." Well, what do you mean hold off on it? Why don't you just like not do it? Just don't do it. Tell them no. Right? You give, like, United States gives them their tanks and bullets and missiles. Just tell them no. What are they gonna do? Go to China? Go to Russia? Is that what they're gonna do? Ask the Uyghurs how it worked out for them in China. What else do I got? Yeah, you like you cannot invade Gaza. If you invade Gaza, it's going to be a disaster. Oh, yeah, hey, look. Children ages 5 to 14 killed in motor vehicle accidents, United States, 1968, 1978 versus 2010 to 2020. So this is an example of how humans can use the power of government to improve the world. Okay. It used to be that a ton of people were getting killed by cars when they were walking along the street. They're walking along, a car comes by, boom, and they're fucking dead. 17,000 people in from 1968 to 1978. So then a bunch of people got together, got angry, lobbied their government to make a change. The government passed laws to institute regulations and make changes. And then what happened is that from 2010 to 2020, only 2,000 people died from pedestrians. Huge, way more people, huge decrease in the number of people killed by cars. And you can see the same kind of thing with everything else. Passengers from 10,000 to 6,000, and and cyclists from 5,000 to 300. So this shows you that humans are able to use reason and applied science to improve the world through government, through the democratic method. The world doesn't just get better. Humans have to make it better. And they're able to do it. Look at that. We reduced the number of people dying by a lot just by passing laws and regulations. That's all we did. This is an example of how the Bush and Trump tax cuts broke our modern tax structure. Revenue is significantly lower and no longer grows much with the economy. So, before Bush and Trump tax cuts, so we got the unemployment rate down here, and we have the revenue on the left. So before the Bush and Trump tax cuts, our revenue would be higher. It'd be way higher. After the Bush tax cuts, the revenue went way down and employment went up. And after the Trump tax cuts, employment was low, but revenue was like real low. So trend line includes years that do not appear on the graph due to the unemployment rate being above 5%. GDP data reflects newest concepts. Anyways, I don't really understand that graph too much. I can't really get too much out of it, other than I already know that the problem that the United States has with its deficit is not due to excess government spending. On the contrary, it's due to a decrease in revenue because of tax cuts on billionaires and the wealthy. Shall I pull that out again? I think I shall. That's a really good idea. Man, how long? 2 hours so far. That's all right. I got 1 more hour in me, I think. Show images. Taxes, man. Tax. Ba-da-ba. Like I've got so many on taxes here. So in the 1950s, the tax rate for the very, very, very wealthiest people was something like 70%. What did Americans get for their 70% tax rate on the wealthiest Americans? The Americans got the interstate highway system. The interstate highway system has generated ridiculous amounts of value and wealth for Americans. Not only is the jobs to maintain the highways, but the fact that we can even use them to transport goods and services efficiently. It's amazing. All sorts of business is conducted using the interstate highway system. It's amazing. Like, we have one of the world's biggest companies now, right? Amazon.com, aren't they pretty big? How heavily do they rely on both our interstate highway system and our postal system? A great deal. They rely on that infrastructure, that investment. So high taxes on the wealthy used to fund public works that help everyone have an enormous magnifying effect on the economy. Contrary, you have what happened after the 2018 tax cuts. Now remember, in 2018, from 2016 to 2018, the Republicans had a trifecta. They controlled the House, the Senate, and the presidency. So they could push through their most important legislation that's the highest value to them. And they did so through a process called reconciliation, where the Democrats could not filibuster the vote. And what was it that they passed? They passed the tax cut, a tax cut for the wealthiest people. Because as a result of both the Bush and the Trump tax cuts, the wealthiest people paid the least amount of taxes relative to their in real terms, like in a real percentage, in percentage of their wealth, I think. Right? Is that what that is? Like real tax rate? Effective tax rate. That's what I'm looking for. The lowest effective tax rate. The wealthiest people pay the lowest effective tax rate. That's why there's a deficit. And remember, the Republicans wanted to defund the IRS. Why? Because the IRS goes after these people for their taxes. So if the IRS is defunded, then these guys get away with it. They never have to pay their taxes, these billionaires. So that's taxes. So that's what I know. Hey, hey, hey. That's what I got here. Oh, I should have showed this graph earlier. This is a graph of the amount of money that Oregon has lost due to measures 5 and 50. I really like this lower graph here. Because this lower graph shows you the real market value of like what the market's really at. And this down here shows you the amount of money that Oregon government is allowed to gather because of the tax law that was passed in the 1990s. So, and this gap here is just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. This is the deficit that now has to be made up by who? By the workers. So that people who own property pay lower taxes. So businesses can pay lower taxes. Workers have to pay higher taxes so rich people can pay lower taxes. That's the effect of Measure 5 and 50. And that's why City of Salem has to impose a payroll tax on people who work in Salem because of Measures 5 and 50, passed in the 1990s to protect rich people. Oh, slat! It just like it happened before I was even here, man. I wasn't even in Oregon yet, and it was a problem. Like, I didn't vote on it. I didn't even know it was there until this tax slapped me in the face. Do people know this? Do people in Salem know what's going on? Like, man, they got screwed. We're getting screwed by rich people. Again. Okay. What? Like, I showed off all my builds. I don't want to talk about Caitlyn Jenner. I think I'm done. I think that's good. It's just an example of how, remember about how problems that appear to be local are actually systemic. And remember, the people who right now in Salem, the people who are funding the anti-payroll tax are the Koch brothers, billionaires from fucking back east. I don't know where, Michigan. I don't know where they're from. Not Oregon. Not Salem. Shit. Anyways, I think the power of democracy and education and the truth getting out there, I think it'll do it. But it's aided by Oregon's superior voting method. In Oregon, we vote by mail. The ballot gets sent to us 3 weeks before the election. So we're able to fill out the ballot in our pajamas in front of our computers, drinking coffee, whatever, doing whatever. And then we put it into an envelope that they give us. and all we have to do is and sign it, right? And all we have to do is put it in the mailbox. We don't even need a stamp. They do it for us. It's so easy. And then they text us when they got it. Ah! It's awesome. It's awesome. Every yeah, and they text us if there's a problem or if it's or when it's been accepted. Like, yeah, they let us know, dude. It's the best. Every state in the union should vote like Oregon. I think it's a crime that not every state votes like us. I hear that in some states they only have one day to vote, and they have to vote in person, and they have to vote in a specific place. What? You mean you only have one day and only a few hours in that day, and you have to go somewhere to do it? You can't just do it at your house? That's crazy, man. It's so hard. Why? Oh, because the powers that be were trying to discourage people from voting? Oh. It gets back to that whole power dynamic between people who want democracy and people who want authoritarianism. So, democracy is important. We need to fight for it. It's not guaranteed. It's not like it's not something that's always going to be there. You have to make sure it keeps living. So, okay, America. Until next time, Pogo Kiddo out. Peace. Stop.